Ladies and gentlemen, ATDF everything in that shelf presentation. You're now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, hey, hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And ban
on Spoiled Rotten.
on that shelf.
Boom. All right, guys. You know what it says in the title. You know what we're going to talk about first. But let's get into some trailers as we always do. This is what I forgot to do last time. That's the format of the show.
Yeah, that's what we do.
We talk about something we want to talk about for about an hour, but before that, we kind of give you some like a little digestible thing of news.
Yeah. I should add, too, that that's what we usually do. I mean, every now and then we have been known to fly off the cuff and do our own thing. A la Mandalorian styles.
Yeah.
So go back and watch those episodes, or listen to those episodes, I should say.
You can watch your screen while you listen.
Yeah. You don't want to tell you how
Watch
to
the
enjoy
ticker.
your content. You know, you do whatever you want. Soon enough, there'll be transcribed versions. That'll be good fun. Could you imagine?
There is an option for that. It's like $2 per second, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like with what we use, I could transcribe this, but there's no chance I would pay
geez.
for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
If anyone, that would be the only way I would say, like, I wrote a novel.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Except for that, we wouldn't be able to say that because someone else did it.
True.
All right.
I guess.
Anyway, we dictated a novel. Listen.
Hey, that's writing too, you know.
Yeah, that's true. We provided the content.
That's right.
What are we talking about first? Let's talk about Fast 9.
The Fast 9 trailer dropped, and of course, it is ludicrous. Pun
He is
intended.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
very welcome
But,
to see Ludacris back there.
was-
Yeah, it's a fun overall trailer. It's ridiculous, uneven pacing, whatever. It is a trailer.
I 100% was like, fuck this. Like, they got me. I'm in. Like,
Yeah, totally.
I
When they released the 30-second bit, like that first 30 seconds of the trailer where it's like, oh, I'm on the farm now and I'm raising the kid that the mother that I had the daughter with or son with. Sorry, I should say.
I'm pretty sure that's
Brazil. I forgot her character's name. I forgot.
I feel bad
everyone's
because all I
characters.
want to say is that's Chris Hemsworth's wife.
Yeah. But like
So
the funny thing is like I
I'll look up her
keep
name.
forgetting all the continuity behind the Fast and Furious movies because it's not worth remembering. So like I keep forgetting that
I think this
Melisandre's-
movie is making a play to be like, you better start remembering some
Oh
continuity.
yes, absolutely. Which is why like these things come as a big shock to me. Like Melisandre is that's her name. Yeah, that's it.
Elsa Pataki.
Yeah. She's in it and I keep forgetting she's in it.
No, Elsa Pataki
Oh.
is the mother. Plays the mother. She's Elena. She plays the mother of Dom's kid.
Gotcha. So they're on the farm raising. That part was like, meh, I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care about
The necklace, sure, whatever. Give it.
It'll mean something in the movie, I assume.
It
But
will,
in
yeah.
terms of that teaser, I was like, nah, I don't care.
Because I'm pretty sure like there will be a moment where Jacob, John Cena, Dom's younger, estranged brother will probably hold up Dom's kid and be like, "Hey, I got your kid," and then
My nephew.
and then yeah, your nephew. He's like, "What are you gonna do about it?" And the nephew's gonna like pull off the necklace and give it to him. He's like, "You kept it after all these years," because it was originally Dom's younger brother's necklace or whatever. I don't know, something like that.
It
It's
seems
gonna
like
be,
you're more into the continuity than I am. I'm just like,
I'm
let's.
just trying to figure this out. I'm just wildly speculating what's gonna happen.
I just want more cars to do crazy things or people to catch cars while they're standing on another car.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All of that works for me. I don't care about physics in this.
Nobody cares about physics about
Mostly, I appreciate that the movie doesn't care.
Yes.
It's not like it's breaking some kind of rule within the movie. Yes, it's breaking real life rules.
Yes.
But within these movies, it all makes sense.
It's true.
Or at least it makes sense that it's happening since nothing else is
Yeah.
going by the rules.
It's got the same physics as like Bollywood movies, so
All right.
you know that's really where it's at. So like, I mean, this is a movie where clearly no one is gonna be like, that would never happen in real life. Everyone that watches these movies and likes these
I would
movies
hope
are
that
gonna be
no
like,
one who
yes.
reviews it, even if they didn't want to watch it, I would hope no one brings up the idiocy of what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
you can be like, it didn't work for me, and that's why. But like, I don't want to hear any like, okay, so they can just swing a car. I was like, yes, because that's
Yes.
how these movies work.
Yeah, and yes, they
You're
can
either-
and they should, and we want
Either
to see
you're
it.
in or you're not, and
Yeah.
like it's not a bad thing if you're in. It's not a bad thing if you're out. But just acknowledge that that's what's happening.
And let's
like
be honest,
me, I'm
yeah.
just in.
Yeah, we're just watching it. We're just gonna enjoy it, and we're just gonna criticize it, make fun of it afterwards, or just really celebrate the fact that we love this movie, and it's no such thing as a guilty pleasure because it's just a pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like I have guilty pleasures. I feel like I've got to the point in my life where I'm like, no, I just like what I like.
No, yeah, I accepted the fact that I'm a fan of Taylor Swift now.
Yeah,
without actually liking
exactly.
her music.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't. If
Yeah.
anyone was ever like, my personal thing against her, not that I know her, but like sometimes I feel like she likes to manipulate things that has nothing to do with the music she produces.
You should watch the documentary then,
I
because
won't.
she explains all about how she
No,
is
I know.
not the victim.
No,
She is the victim. in
No,
this
I
movie.
know. I know. I don't need the documentary to see that. I know. Don't worry, I know Taylor.
She is America's sweetheart
Mm-hmm.
and needs to be defended. No I'm joking.
Yeah. Anyway, I know. No, my point is, if you like something, go ahead. I mean, this is in terms of like media to consume as entertainment.
Yes.
I'm not talking about like, hey, if you like killing people, go ahead. Like, you like what you like.
Yeah.
I'm talking about within the realm of like reasonable things of like
Yeah.
someone put out a song or someone put out a movie. Then yeah, that's what I mean, or a book.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Like, be Benedict Wong and Doctor Strange and enjoy some single ladies.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. If it doesn't hurt anyone,
Oh man, Benedict Wong, what a great guy.
yeah. If it doesn't hurt anyone, go ahead and do it. Enjoy it. Be yourself. Love it. Stay true to yourself. You only got one life to do it. So
Exactly.
do it.
Exactly. So that is why we like Fast 9. So what's going
Yeah.
on in here? He's got a brother now. It's John Cena.
Yep. Younger brother estranged.
So the problem is I don't have a link to it, and it's a podcast. It wouldn't matter if I had the link to it. But I'm just saying afterwards we can look it up. John Cena is saying I'm not the bad guy, which
Yes.
is a weird thing to like flag ahead of time. I can see how watching this trailer there might be a couple of lines that would lead me to believe like, oh, I see. But it still seems like something you shouldn't say out after the first trailer.
I think his perspective is like, hey, look, I work for the law, man, and you're the one that's running around blowing
No,
shit
he doesn't
up.
work for the law. The whole point is that he's an expert thief.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm just trying to like spin this
No,
in
no.
any way possible.
No,
Yeah.
he's not like The Rock. I thought he was just gonna replace The Rock in terms of
That's
like,
what I
oh,
legit
he's like a
thought.
CIA agent that has to like reel them in.
That is
but
what
no,
I thought,
he is
too.
just an expert thief. He does everything they used to do,
Gotcha.
and just he's potentially better because he.
Really?
But the only thing I have a problem with is that like. She made it seem like he spent his whole life like trying to be better than Dom, but like up until recently, Dom was just like doing street races. It wasn't like he was doing something specific that you need to like
Yeah.
train your like. Yes, you do need to be in a certain shape to drive cars at a certain level, but
Yes.
like you don't need to be muscle bound or like this expert thief to
Correct.
just be a great like drag racer.
Yes.
So like he wouldn't have been able to use all of his life.
So the funny
to
thing
try.
is, like, it's a very interesting concept because like they have those lines of dialogue that try to like connect some.
Maybe
sort of
she's not
past
saying
that
it to
was-
John Cena.
Maybe not, but like she's saying it from the perspective of like, oh, your whole life and everything like that. And
Your whole life has been trying to be better than Dom.
yes,
I can understand
But the point,
that.
what I'm getting at is, it's almost like the whole franchise is trying to do something where it's like, hey, try to forget the first 3 movies were about like racing and stuff like that because now
Right.
we've moved into
Yes.
the heist world, but at the same time remember the same characters because they were important.
I
and
agree
now we're
with
bringing
you.
them forward. So it's a weird kind of like a mini half concept reboot within this story, but keeping the same storylines and characters,
Because
which
you're
is
right.
so interesting.
4 is when they start getting more into that, but like 5 is when you're like, okay, now we're just doing something different. But
like-
4 is the setup.
Yeah, there's still like 4. If I can remember 4 properly, which
I don't.
I don't remember it
But, like-
properly, but like I'm sure there was still elements of street racing or racing in that movie, and then to bridge into everything. But then 5 is
4 is
purely
where
just
Letty
straight on,
dies.
like, yeah,
4 is where Letty dies or dies
supposedly,
and
yeah.
then 5 hints at the fact that she might be back.
Correct.
That's the like stinger because they brought back Eva Mendes,
yes,
which I was like, why isn't she back for good? But
yeah,
whatever. It doesn't
Why
matter.
isn't she a bigger player
Yeah.
in this? She's
So
got a big name.
She comes
It's-
back at the
yeah.
end of 5 to be like, hey, it's Letty, right? Michelle Rodriguez's
Yes.
character. She's back, and then she is back. 6 is about like kind of getting her back from
like unbrainwashing her
from Jason Statham's brother that
Correct.
I don't remember. Well, Shaw, but
Shaw.
like I don't remember his actual first
Deckard.
name. Isn't
Deckard Shaw.
Isn't Jason Statham Deckard Shaw?
Oh, which Shaw are we talking about here?
The first Shaw we meet, the one who's like dating Letty
the
when we
Luke
meet
Evans
her. Yeah,
Shaw?
the Luke Evans Shaw.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that guy.
Yeah,
I just
don't
call him
remember
Luke
his name.
Evans Shaw.
Yeah, Luke Evans Shaw was
Or
that's
Big
6.
Brother Shaw, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Is he the big brother? I thought Jason Statham was the big
No,
brother.
I will soon be rewatching this whole franchise and the whole saga because I think it's ridiculous. But I'm going to be watching it in a specific order that tries to line up
Yes.
the Han death in a way that makes it a little bit better. So if anyone has a Reddit stream or like theory as to which order you should watch the Fast and Furious movies,
there are things that tell you. You'll
wonderful.
Find it. You'll
I'm
find
going to
it.
Google that later. It's going to be excellent.
But yeah, so I was just trying to figure out if I remember these movies. So yeah, that's the main through lines in terms of important things. 6 is where Han and I don't remember her name, Gal Gadot's
Gal
character,
Gadot's character, yeah.
they die.
Well, Gal Gadot dies, and then Han dies there too because
Yeah.
he goes back.
Wait,
to Japan.
no, he doesn't die. You're right. He's
He
like,
does
oh, I'm
not.
gonna go back to
And
Tokyo
he's,
to
yeah,
drift.
at the end of it, he's like, I'm going to go to Tokyo, and then that's when the events of Tokyo
then he
Drift
dies.
happen. Then he dies.
In my
there.
head, I was just like, whatever, they're both dead.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're right. He does not actually die in
Yes.
6.
Yeah.
It's just we know as the audience that's when he dies is in Tokyo
Yeah.
Drift, and we know that's where he's going.
Correct.
But in my head, while I was watching, I was like, I mean, I feel bad because he lost the love of his life, so he might as well just be dead now.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah. But yeah. So and then 8 introduced Charlize Theron. That was cool.
Cypher.
Yeah.
Liked her a lot.
And I'm glad
and then
she's
made
back.
Dom the bad guy ish.
I liked that.
Yeah, I like that. That was really, really fun.
Because I was like, did I
that a lot.
brainwash him or something? And then I was like, no, like he can't be a
Motivated by
hypocrite.
his family.
Yeah, you can't be a hypocrite.
Yep.
This is the most family ever. Your son.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're all caught up now. Fast 9's going to happen. I'm happy that it's just called Fast 9 or F9, but I was like, why isn't there like some cool name for this? Like, I feel like
is
they should
it
do
not
cool.
officially named F9 the Fast Saga?
Oh, yeah, it is, but that's not cool to me.
That's so not cool. I don't
But
know why
you're
they
right.
did that.
I think that is the name of
Like,
it.
it's so weird to me because, like, why would they do that? Because it makes it seem like all the episodes and this is the finale of everything when we know it's not. We know we
the
have
next
10.
one potentially is the next
And
last
10
one.
is supposed
Unless
to
it
be
makes
a
lot of money.
two-parter.
Oh,
Well, Dom is. Well,
I don't
shouldn't
like
say
that.
Dom.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel is pitching it as a two-parter.
I don't like that.
I'm fine with it. I'm good.
I'm never a fan
whatever.
of
Two-part
trying.
movies.
Yeah, just do the movie. Like, if you have more story to tell more story. But just tell your story. It's there's no good outcome of splitting it up like
See,
that.
I don't know if the outcome is more like
Don't
the
go
idea of,
into
like-
it being like, oh, we're gonna do this as a 2-parter. Just do your movie.
Yeah,
It's as long as it needs to be.
he's milking it. Whatever.
I know.
I mean, what
but
are
this is
your
what I'm
thoughts
saying.
about Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 then?
Well, that was studio mandated because he doesn't consider it 2 movies.
Gotcha.
That's why he can say things like, I'm still have a 10th movie to do, even though he has hit
Gotcha.
10 movies.
Okay.
But he doesn't see that as a 2-parter. He sees that as they wouldn't let me put out the movie I wanted to put out.
Fair enough.
So here we are.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, I see them as, well, the big joke is if it's not 2 movies, why did I pay twice for it? Which is how I feel. But
I see.
that is not like Quentin Tarantino saying, oh, I'll do that. That's him making the best out of a situation where they're like, there's no chance you're releasing this movie. Yeah, Fast 9, great.
Han is back. We didn't talk about that yet.
He is back. We were alluding to it. And Justin Lin is back.
Yes.
Which is great.
I love Justin
And
Lin's
it's
character.
funny that he was like, sorry,
Bring back-
Shaw is their friend now?
Yeah.
Not into that.
Yeah, he came back. It's like he almost like, oh, I don't know what's going on in the franchise. It's like, oh, wait, what? That doesn't sit well with us.
Because he, like, once he took over is when I like the movies. I know he did
Yes.
4, and I'm not that big of a fan of 4, but like
Yeah.
5 and 6, I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah. To be fair, I really enjoyed 1.
I don't like
2
any of them other than 5, 6.
Oh, I like
and
them
I kind
because
of
how
like
ridiculous
7.
they were.
And I was like, yeah, 8's fine.
I love how ridiculous and dated those movies are. Like in the,
They're not ridiculous enough.
They're
Is what I'll
so
say.
ridiculous. Are you kidding me?
They're not
like-
like it's just
Because
cheesy.
they keep pushing the envelope of ridiculous. Like honestly, if they do not end up in space in one of the next sequels, I'm gonna be so annoyed. Like
Fair enough.
honestly, I really hope they end up in space. They've done it all already, flying cars, whatever. They need to somehow put a car in space.
Lucas Black is in this. I didn't see him. Everyone says you can see him in the trailer, but I did not see him.
Remember seeing him.
And I didn't see Tokyo Drift, so it means nothing to me. But he's the like main guy in Tokyo Drift.
Oh yeah.
But I
want them to bring back Little Bow Wow. That's what I want them to do.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Bow Wow now.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Like again, I have no care about act. It's weird that I love Han so much, but I don't care about Tokyo Drift. Again, I don't care to see it, and I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. That's the one I didn't see.
Yeah,
I've seen all the proper. I'm just kidding. But yeah. So bring those people back. I don't care because like I especially didn't like Too Fast, Too Furious, and I'm like, but Ludacris and Tyrese are good additions. So, yeah, fine. I'm glad that
that's
exists.
also a movie where Jin the MC made his debut in a movie.
I loved Jin the MC.
Jin the MC was a
I wish
cultural
he had
phenomenon in the 90s.
I wish he did more. He got signed to the Rough Riders, which was amazing because that was my favorite, like affiliation of rappers at the time. That's DMX and like the Locks.
But they did nothing with him.
No, but that was kind of the thing back then. Like everyone was signed, and like people like Foxy Brown were signed to like Rockefeller Bad Boy, and you're like, what's the point?
It was almost like they were just eliminating competition. It was like, hey, you're a potential star, so we're going to sign you and do nothing with you. So
like he did put out an album, and he had Kanye West beats and stuff like that. But it was like, they were kind of like, all right, well, people are over it now.
I just still remember his rap battles on MTV, and I'm like, sick. That was
BT.
awesome. Yeah,
because he was on 106 and Park.
Yeah,
aka Bow Wow Show.
Yeah. So that was
all
sick.
connected. It's all connected.
It's all there, man.
All right.
It's all there.
Are we moving on from this? Because I just liked it. I don't have any like criticism other than
I want to talk.
I
want to spend a little bit of time talking about the Han thing. A lot of people, well, you and I have been speculating since this trailer has come out about how Han is coming back, and like
mostly because I don't care if it's a twin. If it's him, I don't care. Because it's stupid either way.
Because the thing is, Shaw kills him, and Shaw's supposed to be this expert assassin, like hitman thug and all this kind of stuff. But okay, well, if Shaw does it, then he clearly missed a shot of a guy crawling on the ground, and then acted like he still killed him. Like, why? Why? Like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, we'll find
Unless this is my theory. You know how they had Idris Elba's character be like computer cybernetics and all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
I feel like if he, like, plot twist, he has that cybernetic stuff and then he gets activated by Cypher or something like that, or whatever organization, and then becomes the bad guy for 10, that'd be so sick.
I'd be down if he... Oh, didn't you say, like, if he's infiltrating in 9 and he still is the bad guy?
Yeah.
Because, again, John Cena said he's not the bad guy.
Yep.
So I would be down for him to just be the bad guy in 9. Again, I don't really like the, like, but wait until next time. I like the movie I'm about to watch to be good.
Correct.
So I would be down for that.
I also think, like, Cypher's one of those villains that, like, is so smart that would be able to do something like that.
Yeah, she turned Dom against his family.
Exactly.
And maybe that's just her thing.
That's
like she gets friends to turn against each other.
Yep. She plays
this one would be this one would be less of a mind game and more of just a straight up, oh no, I rebuilt you, so you're the bad guy now.
Yep.
But I'm still fine with it. I don't care. Like, sure, if it's other people have said on purpose, not on purpose, but like to a logic I agree with. It can't necessarily be justice for Han if he never actually died.
Correct.
So if they are pushing the whole justice for Han thing, justice is coming is the last thing you see from the trailer. Well, get tickets now is, but you get what I mean.
Right.
Then I also understand why people might think, oh, maybe it's a twin brother that like is there to get justice for Han.
Yeah. I hope it's
like,
not.
I feel like you guys forgot that you're working with the murderer of my brother and apparently your family. I'm here to get justice for my brother.
So the thing is, if it was a twin brother angle, I would hate that so much more because they're like going out of their way in this trailer to show us like a few things that are very, very important to Han. A, his snacking because he quit smoking, and then B, like that hug between Dom and Han.
But I feel like
really, really
even
cool.
if it's his twin, that could be Dom actually accepting him into the family because you'd be like, you're not. So whatever, you're his twin. We don't know you.
Sure.
And then the hug is more like him accepting him in. And yes, you're right about the thing, but like that's not something I remember about Han. Right. And I don't think people watching would be like, you either know who he is or you don't. Like it's not like you'd be like, wait, oh, the Asian who snacks. You would just be like, oh, that's Han. You don't need the snacking to actually be like, oh, that's for sure Han. You would be like,
Well,
it's
that's-
Han. It's the actor who played Han.
Well, that's because, I can't believe I remember this movie so much, but Tokyo Drift, he actually goes on to address. It's like, oh yeah, I quit smoking.
Yes, yeah, I
and
didn't
need
watch
a hand
Yeah.
oral other things, so I need to constantly snack on something.
But what I'm saying is, you would either know who he is or
Can't
you
believe I
wouldn't. The snacking wouldn't be. You're like, oh, got it.
Yeah.
Unless literally all Asians look the
Unless-
same to you, and you're like, I don't know who
No.
that is. Oh wait, he snacks.
By the
Han.
way, in that movie, Bow Wow has a souped-up SUV type vehicle
Mm-hmm.
that is custom molded to look like the Hulk. Smashed it.
Interesting.
It's really, really cool, in a nerdy kind of way.
We should move on.
I'm definitely gonna watch that movie franchise. and it's
Yeah,
gonna be
go for
hilarious.
it. We should move on.
Yeah, we're moving on.
The 30-second.
Disney
Plus.
plus Super Bowl.
So
spot.
we get Falcon and Winter Soldier,
And
WandaVision, and Loki.
Yeah, we get shots of those. Now, this is super exciting for a couple of different reasons. There's mainly more for the WandaVision stuff.
You
than
say
anything
that. I
else.
think it's interesting for everything but Loki. Like Loki, I'm just
Loki
like, okay,
is just
yeah,
a
sure.
throwaway shot that they're just like,
But, like,
hey,
I
we're
like-
too far away from production. Let's just shoot something random.
Yeah, I really like the shot of like them introducing the new, or maybe they're not even introducing, but like U.S. agent like on the football field getting
Yeah.
a high five. Like I think that's really cool imagery.
It's like super
I like
patriotic
watching.
and all that kind
Yeah,
of
I
shit.
like the visuals of Sam throwing the shield because I know people were like, "Oh, he won't be able to use the shield properly." Which this is showing that he has the force, but it's not bouncing around like
Yeah.
when Cap does it. So like it's
Well,
cool
he-
to watch him working on
Yeah,
it.
he hits a tree.
Yeah.
So like that's a big reason why we'll.
Well, I'm just saying, I feel like Cap makes it bounce off of things better than
Well, yeah.
he does. But what I'm saying is, I like seeing him work on it. It's like
Yes.
interesting
Yeah, he's
stuff
training
to look
for
at.
it.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's not like he's just good at it. You're like, well, he's got the force, but maybe now he needs the like
Mm-hmm.
finesse.
Yeah. Now you raised a couple of things to me before we started recording that I never had considered about the storyline of this, in the sense where you
So
were-
there's,
yeah.
I mean, also stuff I didn't say off mic just
Right.
because I wanted to say for this. But a big thing they're saying is this is gonna have the Thunderbolts as a big thing, and that they actually either just covertly steal the shield from Sam because U.S. Agent does have the like Captain America shield.
Right.
It's not like they didn't remake it.
Oh, okay.
Or they beat him up and take it.
Right.
And the idea being that the government is on board with being like, nope, no black Captain America, or just he's a criminal.
Right.
Where
They're trying to
he
play
can-
from that beat, but they really mean no.
I mean,
it's kind of like
again-
how the war on drugs is like, no, we're fighting drugs, but it's
yes.
like, no, but look at the communities we're hitting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, it is like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how
Marketing.
that plays out.
Yeah.
We'll see how that plays out. But that is what I've heard early on, is that that's the story, is
Yep.
by obviously Steve Rogers gave his shield to Sam, but
Yep. And then America's like, hey,
America
that
might
wasn't
not be
his.
down for that.
Yeah, it was like Captain America is a property of us, and therefore the thing, whatever, and like they're trying to do
Yes.
that. I think that's a really, really good meta story to tell, considering where a lot of criticism has been racially driven towards Sam getting the shield instead of Bucky.
which
Which
I
is
feel like we've said on the show,
nonsense.
but I don't
Which we
see
will
how Bucky would be.
Yeah.
One, the character doesn't trust himself enough.
Correct.
And two, if you were to put him as like a leader figure, who's gonna follow the like, yes, Sokovia criminal, but also like a guy that legitimately did do a bunch of murders and
Yes.
stuff like that. Like it's why like
But also,
even
I think,
even Black Widow wasn't like, oh, she ends up being a leader figure by
Yes.
like, but like she's not like, no, I'm seeking out being the leader. Like
but
she's
yeah,
like
Black
she's-
Widow ends up being more like a vice president kind of leader.
yeah,
than
and she.
anything
I mean,
else.
I'm talking about by Endgame, she is the
I
de
see,
facto
yes.
leader. But like
Yes.
that's more out of her desperation of like, well, I need to keep this going.
Correct.
But when everything was full strength, she wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna be the leader, because she's like, but I know like I'm compromised in that way.
Yes.
and I feel like he knows that, and then just in general, in terms of being a superhero, like Falcon has had more time with Cap to do that. So
But
Cap has had more time to be like, oh, I see you as the right person to pass the shield
Yes,
to.
the thing I don't like about where that criticism comes from is the idea that the German doctor chose Steve Rogers. Like in the beginning, like go back to Captain America 1, he was chosen for his character, his personality
Yeah.
traits, his morals, his ethics. That's exactly what Steve Rogers did when giving the shield to.
He said, "You're a good man."
Yeah, you're a good man. It's like he was looking at that. He wasn't looking at, oh, you have super soldier serum in you. You have like all these kind of things. You're trained by whatever. You can do this just to maintain like the numbers or whatever. It's the idea is whoever's behind the shield has the personality and the morals of what America should stand for.
And I think
And
Winter
Bucky
Soldier
has that. I mean, Bucky does not have that the same
and
way
like
Sam does.
and that doesn't make him a bad person. That
No, it
just
doesn't.
makes him differently. Like he's got a different
Correct.
goal.
Yes,
That's
that's it.
Yeah.
We're not saying that Bucky shouldn't have it. It's just that. But
Well, I'm saying I don't think he should have it now.
No,
if,
I think-
if it goes to him later, then yeah.
What I'm
and
saying
that can
is,
be the show.
I'm not saying that Bucky shouldn't have it. I'm just saying it's better suited towards Sam.
yeah.
That's all it is. It's just
If we
Sam's
are
got a
thinking
better,
of like someone taking over the man, which
yeah, like out of the two, out of Bucky
Anthony
and
Mackie has said
Sam,
he never will be called Captain
Yeah.
America. He's gonna keep the Falcon thing, which I'm fine with.
I'm really good with that. Just because, like, let's say for example, at the end of this series, he truly does represent America. He's got America pushing it behind him. It's like, yeah, this is the new Captain America, and then he's like Captain America in the movies. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
That's a great way of being like, here, all you racist assholes. Here's a story telling you about how he, yet again, needs to prove himself, even though he's proved himself a billion times before.
Get woke, go broke.
Yeah,
Ben.
just like, shut up. Let's watch it. Stop caring so
but
much
yeah.
and stop putting your racist agenda behind this.
So that is nothing in the footage tells us any of what we just talked about.
No,
but
but
like,
it does confirm
it's
a lot
kind
of
of
the things that
hinting
we're
at
talking
stuff.
about.
Like
Yeah.
it looks like people will be after them. We still don't know what Zemo's plan is, but he's going to be wearing his mask. That's cool. Again, not in the trailer, but whatever. And then the WandaVision stuff is interesting.
WandaVision stuff is very, very interesting. Now, there's a couple of screenshots in there that some people have pulled that have kind of indicated that Wanda is pregnant in this, or
And then
one of the realities.
you do see the two.
Floating pacifiers there too. And
Well, you
like,
see their whatever you would call them, bassinets or cribs. I don't know.
Yes.
You see both of those as
Yeah.
well.
and this is very, very important because it ties together with the Scarlet Witch's character in the the Marvel universe, not the Marvel Cinematic
comic.
Universe, the comic universe, where like this spins off storylines about the mutants and all that kind of stuff. And we don't know if this is their way of actually introducing the mutants or something like that. That would be kind of cool because in the storylines it
think
kind of like suppresses the mutant gene, and like there's a whole
This
bunch
one
of stuff
could be her
that
putting
happens.
them into. But like,
This could be like her starting the mutant gene or something like that by her powers like going haywire and then introducing the X-Men in Phase 5. That'd be really cool.
and then
Because that would be a nice, natural, organic way of doing it from a story writing perspective than
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
being like, oh, we've been hiding out here in Canada the whole time.
one other thing I liked was that Vision goes black and white
Yeah.
when he dies, and that we obviously see them in black and white first, and so like
She's the only one with maintaining color in those shots. Is she?
no, she's not in color initially.
No.
So she like the idea that she would be going into his head, and like
Right.
this is all trying to like rebuild him, and that's why you kind of start off in black and white and might start
Gotcha.
through the years bringing back the color into it.
Because
I like
she's
that.
living out. The idea behind this is that she's created a mini universe where she's living out her fantasy of like
Of
just
living,
having
yeah.
a life together, a normal life with Vision,
And then
and then being pregnant and having kids and all that kind of stuff, and that it resembles like sitcoms of the 50s, 60s, and all that kind of stuff. Like
yeah,
references to
it
Brady
gets up to
Bunch
like
and
Full
all that kind of
House and
stuff.
stuff. So like it'll be, I guess, decade by decade, getting up to
Yeah,
current
like
day.
you get shots that resemble the Brady Bunch, and then like you said, Full
I Love
House, an
Lucy, yeah.
iconic kind of TV.
So I think
Very
because
interesting show.
Randall Park will be in it. Catherine Hahn.
Yep.
Well, Catherine Hahn we don't know as a character yet,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can do whatever they want with her. But I've heard that Randall Park is his character name Jimmy Woo.
I think so.
I think it's Jimmy Woo.
Yeah.
And then Kat Dennings, I don't remember her character name, but
Yeah.
she'll be in it as well. But apparently, like, even though they will be playing like Jimmy Woo and whatever Kat Dennings' character was, it'll be different because obviously, or not obviously, I think what's happening is this is all in someone's head.
Right.
So even though they are those characters, it's like them
A different
playing
version of
characters
them?
in these TV shows.
Oh, okay. So it's just like, oh, I remember you, but differently. And
Yeah,
you
it's
fit into this
the
role
Wizard
kind
of Oz thing of like, and you were there, and you were there. But it's
Gotcha.
like, even though I don't know why those
Yeah.
people in particular would know Wanda or be on her radar, but anyway, yeah.
You know, the other thing I really like about this 30-second shot, that one very, very specific shot of like Wanda Maximoff wearing the comic accurate Scarlet Witch
Mm-hmm.
outfit is so cool to me because it's just like one of those things where it's like, see, this is the proof why you can't have comic accurate stuff in the universe we've created because it looks stupid. It looks absolutely stupid. I'm just
I mean,
like,
it doesn't have to.
Like-
I just think that was probably her wearing like a Halloween costume. It doesn't look like that's her costume in earnest. Like,
no,
it
no.
looks like
But
put
that's what I
together.
mean. It looks like a cheap Halloween costume. Some people said maybe even Valentine's Day, like
Yeah.
lingerie kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
like,
what I think it is. I don't think it's actually. Like,
Yeah, but it's just like it's meant to be like comic accurate towards what she was
Yeah,
drawn
yeah.
as, and I'm just like it looks so dumb in this context. But I'm like, I don't know if it's just because it's sitcom esque and it's not in the heat of the battle.
That's
but
what I'm
like,
saying. I don't know
Yeah.
that I'm willing to be like, oh, this looks dumb because of it. It's because one, you're not really seeing it in motion, and two,
But also,
I don't
because
think it's meant to be like what
it's
she would actually go out and
definitely
fight in.
It's definitely not because like if you look at it, it's just like, oh, okay, well, maybe the head costume designer was out that day.
Yeah,
For the outfit, no, the superhero outfit. I think it'd be interesting if like instead of that red thing that she wears on her head, that it'd be like some sort of energy thing, aura around her head instead of a thing. I think that looks like that, but I don't know. That's just me speculating as like what would happen if she actually had a comic accurate thing.
yep. And then Loki,
And then Loki just has that one little.
but he's wearing a jumpsuit from, I don't remember the actual acronym, but they're like time cops. So it looks like he
Right.
was arrested for making mischief in time.
Well, that yeah.
And
I'm so
Owen
curious
Wilson
to
will
see,
be in it.
Yeah, Owen Wilson's in it. I'm curious to see what historical kind of events through time he's kind of messed around with.
Could be cool.
I think that'd be a lot of fun because I think that him instinctually, hey, I got the Tesseract now. I'm just gonna go mess around with like moments in time, as opposed to be like, I'm gonna rule the world again or do whatever.
Well, I think that is what he's doing. He's messing with moments in
Time
time
to
so that
yeah.
people
Oh, okay.
adore him.
Yeah,
And
because
so
remember,
that-
this is post Avengers 1 Loki, so he's
Yeah,
still
he's
bitter
not
from
good yet.
losing. He's not like semi good Loki yet. Like Thor: Dark World had not happened, and he hadn't been
No.
crying in the thing
right.
and like losing. His
No,
mom.
this is
Yeah.
him in probably the only real villainous role. Like this is
Correct.
which was Avengers.
Yeah.
Because every other movie, there's elements of you being like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
things
kind
he
of a jerk.
probably wouldn't have been a villain if this didn't happen.
Correct.
But Avengers is just straight up, no, he's the villain, and
Yeah.
so that's the Loki we're working with here.
I'm wondering if if one of those flashbacks in time is going to be about him being adopted or something like that, and then we're going to get like an Odin
Could be.
scene out of it. I think that'd be interesting as a guest star for one episode, maybe.
So
We'll see.
I think it's releasing like Falcon and Winter Soldier's August of this year. WandaVision's December, and then
December, and then
they haven't.
Loki
They've
is-
only filmed like 2 things for Loki, so there's no. And I don't mean episodes. Like I get the sense that like
yeah, pure promo stuff.
yeah. So we don't. There's no point in trying to put a date on that, but probably next year sometime.
Oh yeah, it'll be next year.
All right. So that's lovely.
That's where we're at. And then final bit of news that we want to talk a little bit more about is the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness kind of stuff. Now, we know Scott Derrickson.
Yeah, he left.
He left, and one of the directors climbing up to replace him or the rumored director is Sam Raimi.
Sure.
What do you think?
Not that into it, but
I'm
that's fine.
I'm pretty into it. I'm pretty into it.
I don't know.
I mean,
that's this is exactly what went wrong with Spider-Man 3, though.
Right.
Like, is that he was in a situation where he was being told what to do. So, and that is a Marvel movie. I
Right.
don't, and especially if he's doing a sequel to a Marvel movie. So I don't know how much.
That's a good point.
I don't know how
I
much
was just
agency he has,
thinking-
other than them being like, "Cool, he's a horror director."
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's
but
he's
like-
got horror beats. We wanted some stuff of horror inspiration.
But
in
I
there
don't think
anyways.
he does it the way Marvel does it. I
Right.
think
he does
he's got a-
campy horror.
Yeah, he's a very specific
yeah.
director that I'm not saying it would be a bad. If he did Doctor Strange from the beginning, I would be more excited. If they were just like,
That's true.
you know what, like it's just, the Scott Derrickson one never happened, and
Yeah.
we're just doing Sam Raimi, that would be interesting to me. But like because in the Spider-Man movies, he does reference Doctor Strange. Like
Yes.
that's the first thing he does is try to do like the Doctor Strange like hand gesture
Right.
when he's trying to get his webs out, or like they specifically say, what do we call Doc Ock? Oh, we should call him Doctor Strange. And he's like, that's a great name, but it's used already or something like that. So obviously he cares about the character to some level. It's just, I don't know how excited I am for him to come in and basically just execute.
That's fair.
Because obviously that's why Scott Derrickson's left.
Yes.
Because they're asking him to just execute instead of letting him do what he wants to do.
Right.
So I don't know how bringing in, not arguably, a more storied director, potentially a more popular one. I don't know how that works to bring him in and be like, but just execute.
I think those are fair points. Because originally one of the things that was rumored was Scott Derrickson left because he wanted to be more horror than Marvel was letting him do.
Yeah.
Marvel was basically being like, no, it's a Marvel movie with horror elements, but it's not
And
a
also,
horror
I don't
movie.
think
'Cause
it
he
makes
pitched
sense
as
to
a
do
horror
it
movie,
like
right?
his kind of horror anyway.
Right. Because I haven't seen anything by Scott Derrickson's horror.
I
Or are
haven't
you talking
either,
about
but-
Sam Raimi's horror?
No, I'm not. Either one of their horrors
Right.
doesn't really work for Marvel.
Because-
but like,
yeah.
I
Because
understand.
the Sam Raimi horror to me is very interesting because you do see like really, really cheesy stuff like the original and like, yeah, the original kind of Evil Dead series.
Yeah.
You'll see that kind of stuff, and then you'll see the remake of the Evil Dead, which he also did himself with practical effects. And there's not like that is a totally different kind of horror altogether. That's like serious horror.
Yeah.
So it's just like, which Sam Raimi are you gonna get? It's kind of interesting,
Yeah.
but I'm into it.
And the low-key writer is rewriting this script,
Gotcha.
which, sure. It all seems like things are just in motion and they just need someone to yell cut and action.
Sure.
In which case, I'm not sure. I'm excited to like hear a big name director is doing it.
Right, and in which case I'm seeing your point where a lot you're not as enthused about the news.
Yeah, like I again, it's got two things going for it. He obviously is a horror guy,
Yep.
and he has some kind of affinity for Doctor Strange. I just don't think his affinity for Doctor Strange and the horror people think they want out of this go together. I think that's two separate brains for Sam Raimi.
Gotcha.
You mix that with the fact that obviously this movie is like the Civil War movie for this part of whenever it lands in Phase 4.
Right.
It's going to be like the Civil War, so they need a lot of story points to happen. This isn't like Black Panther where he can just do whatever he wants.
Right. It's not
Or
that
whoever
Civil War.
steps in can't just do whatever they want. They need a bunch of stuff to factor into this. So yeah, I was always worried when Scott Derrickson left. At least if he stayed, I'd be like, all right, cool, everyone's on board. But everyone isn't on board.
Gotcha.
And I don't see that working out. Again, we already seen what happens when someone tells Sam Raimi what to do. He's like, okay, well, I didn't really care about it, so
Yep.
here we go. Spider-Man lets Sandman leave at the end because I didn't actually have an ending for this. I just knew I wanted to use Sandman, and they wouldn't let me keep him as just the villain.
Yep. They really messed around. They're like, now you have to use Venom because we want to use
and
Venom.
that's the other thing. He's got a very specific time period that he likes
Yep.
of these comics, which is mostly the 60s.
Yes.
And I don't think this Doctor Strange movie can be the 60s Doctor Strange.
No, I don't think it can unless we don't know how much of Wanda's universe is affecting the real universe.
Yes,
though.
but
That is
yeah,
the one
all I'm
thing
saying
that
is this is
could
going to
be
be a very like current movie, and I don't think that that's his love of the comics.
I agree. All right.
All right, let's
So there's that.
yeah, let's talk about Birds of Prey.
Yeah. So Birds of Prey
Woo!
and the
Well,
I gotta say this full name and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
that's it.
I will say right off the bat that my criticism of the promotional material has been completely wrong. Back to when I went to the trailer and been like, hey, it's a Birds of Prey movie. Why are they focusing only on Harley? The way they wrote this movie, it makes complete and perfect sense. To me, this movie is what you get if you get Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool 2 having a baby. This would be it.
I was saying it's Deadpool and John Wick having a baby.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
because, yeah, it's the John Wick action choreographer that came in last minute, right?
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
This makes so much more sense. I
Yeah,
was like,
that's
was
why.
this just John Wick? Which I wasn't. That wasn't me dismissing it. I was like,
Right.
I'm really on board with this because
Yeah.
these fight scenes are fucking amazing.
They're so cool.
I was like,
They were so much fun.
like the last one, obviously in the Funhouse. Like I know they
Oh,
were
that was
teasing
the
it, but I was like,
best.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
But like just anything that happened before it, I was just except for maybe the Black Canary like fight where she's saving Harley.
Saving
I was kind
Harley
of
from
like,
being
this one's, and that would have been a
abducted or
great
raped.
fight scene in
Yeah.
any other movie. It's
Yes.
just that this movie had so many great ones that I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
maybe this one's not my favorite.
it got
But,
washed
like,
out a little bit for sure.
But like everything else they did, I was like, this is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a really fun movie. I think. I mean, I've said it before. Like, I enjoy watching people enjoy what they're doing.
yes,
Like that is a compelling thing for me. Like, it doesn't have to be that like they enjoy doing something that I enjoy doing, but at least if I can see they're not tortured by what they're doing, it's very fun. Like, so Black Mask in this, which I don't think is like. I don't even know. Like, I think I've seen some kind of portrayals of him, and this touches on some of that.
Yeah.
But like, he loves what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. Zaz, I definitely didn't seem like Zaz to me, but he loved what he was doing. So, I
So
was
when
like,
you say portrayals, I'm curious when you say that because like Zaz.
like, I haven't read a lot of Black Mask stuff, but
I see.
I've seen it like
'Cause-
in Red Hood and like other cartoons.
Like
and
my
stuff
biggest
like
connection to Black Mask would be from the Arkham Origins video game
Right.
that the Warner Brothers Montreal studio put out.
Mhm.
And you know that depiction of Black Mask is purely like thug gangster, like I own
Yes.
this town, all this kind of stuff. I actually kind of really enjoyed this iteration of
No,
it.
I'm saying I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed everything
Yeah.
because there was like
We weren't really
sense-
that attached to the character of Black Mask from like, oh, he has to be this. He's got to
Exactly.
be like. It's not like,
Exactly.
oh, if it was like someone started fucking around with Batman.
I think I was trying to preemptively defend anything that I said I liked because I'm
see.
sure there are people that are like, that's not Black Mask. Like I knew
I'm sure
people
there
that
are.
I knew there
Yeah.
were people that going into it were like, if he, well, I think they already knew
Mm-hmm.
he could take the mask on and off, but they were like, I don't like that he can take on and off. Like he better like have it on and then never be able to take it off again.
Yeah, because the
at some
character
point.
is supposed to like that mask
It's
is
like
supposed to fuse to his
yeah.
to his
which
face.
doesn't like. I'm fine with how they did it. Like,
I
it
just
the
don't care
fusing
about
part
that.
doesn't matter.
No, I thought like my thought was at the end of the movie something's going to happen to him that it's going to be stuck to his face. But I mean, like the ending of the
No,
movie
he has
is
no
obviously
face
very,
anymore.
very
He's
different.
just,
Right.
He's just dead.
Right.
And in a bunch of different pieces.
Right.
Which I loved. No. And the other thing I knew was Cassandra Cain. That character I do have more connection to from the comics.
Right.
So just completely different in this movie.
Yes.
Which again,
'Cause that
didn't-
character is pretty much depicted as like someone that cannot talk, right?
she can speak, but she was trained basically in
to,
isolation,
right.
so she just doesn't
Right.
speak. And I don't like she makes grunts and stuff, but like no, she doesn't talk. But I kind of liked in this movie that there was two times that stood out to me where you were kind of like, oh shit, this is how she stops talking. Like, and then you realize, oh no, she just swallowed the diamond. That's why she was kind of like, oh, I
Right.
can't really talk. And then at the end of the movie where Black Mask has a knife to her throat, I'm like, oh, he'll like do some like I
Cut
was
enough of the vocal cords so
yeah.
she can't talk ever again.
but
yeah.
that didn't happen either. And I was just like, you know what? It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter.
Like, I'm also for like, if you're doing these movies,
Uh-huh.
like, why not just use character names that people recognize from the comics? Like,
Yeah.
if you want to just call her like Cassandra Cain and like take elements of it, sure.
Yeah.
Like, if that was it, they were like, well, we need a kid element to kind of humanize. They can be like, well, just use Cassandra Cain. I'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, sure.
Plus-
People don't care that much about her, I don't think, in terms of the movie-going audience.
No, I don't think they would either. This is a character I didn't really knew existed up until this movie came out.
Right. And so, like, I've had time to, like, read about her. So,
Yep.
not read about her, but read her in comics.
Yep.
And just be like, well, that's definitely. But I was, like, going into it, I was like, you know what? Part of the fun is being like, how are they going to explain why she's talking now? And then by the end of the movie, I was like, you know what? I don't really care.
Yeah.
It didn't factor.
I think that people are much, much more angry about Huntress being who she is in this movie because I think a lot of people had a lot of like ties to who the Huntress was portrayed in.
But this is, like, the perfect. Like, of all the people, this
Yeah.
is the only one that was, like, comic accurate.
really,
So,
everyone was like, "Oh, I don't know if their criticism was like, oh, that's her outfit."
oh, well,
Which,
okay,
in case
sure.
I'm just like,
If you're upset about the outfit, I can't really have that conversation with you. You were upset about the outfit, fine.
Sure.
But in terms of the characters, because I've read comics with all of them, Yeah, for me that was the most comic accurate because you can't really do much with Huntress unless you're doing a TV show or a comic because her whole thing is so either A, she's from Earth 2 and she's Batman and Catwoman's daughter, or she's Helena Bertinelli and she's got a list of people she needs to kill because they killed her parents. And that's exactly what this movie does. They show you her parents were killed in front of her and she remembered who the people were that killed her parents and she takes them off one at a time. And then by the end of the movie, she's like, well, I'm done my mission, so I'm out. And they're like, no, just come hang out with us. And she's like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
And then she's like, and I like hanging out with you guys, so I'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty much done with what I wanted to be doing. And I was like, yeah, that's how that would play out, is that she had a very specific group of people she needed to kill, and she did it. And then I was like, yep, that's the Huntress. If you're using the Bertinelli version of it, that's Huntress.
Gotcha.
Because for me, Black Canary, I was just like, I liked all the characters, but it was just like they don't really like you get a lot of time with her, but like they don't really. I felt like you didn't really dig with her. Like they bring up stuff like she had a mother that could do it too, and you're like, interesting.
With
but that's
Black Canary,
yeah. And you're like, well, that's an interesting thing to
Well,
just
a lot of
leave there
these-
on the table.
yeah. I mean,
I like that when she finally uses her scream, you're like, oh, that's why she doesn't do it all the time because she passes out. Like you couldn't really just be like in the middle of a fight, like, oh, I'll just use it now. If you pass out, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So like, I liked that the movie at least.
went to visually show us that, like, hey, this is
Yeah,
why.
it
You get,
like,
like a little teaser of it.
It was like, you know what, like this is why she wouldn't just be using it, and also she's purposefully suppressed it.
Yes.
Because she's like, well, no, I don't want to be a hero like my mom, who the cops just let get killed.
I love that backstory. That was
Yeah.
really, really good. It's like you like the way he's just like, hey, you can help me. We can clear all this kind of stuff. It's like, my mom helped you, and look where that got us. Like,
Yeah.
So you'll have to excuse me for good luck with trying to flip me or anything like that.
All
And I
right.
think that was really, really good. I like that a lot.
So let's just say what the point of the movie
Yep.
is. Cassandra Cain has stolen a diamond from Zaz and Black Mask, and there's a bounty out on her, but there's also a bounty out on Harley because she very publicly announced that she was not dating Joker anymore, which means everyone who was annoyed by her is now like, oh, well, if the Joker's not going to try and get me for killing her, then it's time to do it.
Because I like how, like, in the movie, yeah, and to rewind to that quick recap, the diamond that Cassandra Cain stole from Zaz, it's not an ordinary diamond. It's got a code that tells everyone where the Bertinelli family fortune is that's been locked away forever and all that kind of stuff.
So I'll say this. I feel like that's part of the rewrites because I remember I sent you what people were saying was actually
Yes.
the point of that diamond,
Yeah.
which I don't think any of this movie negates other than they just never really...
They never really just
Because,
say
like,
it. Yeah.
what ends up happening with the diamond is they get it and then she just kind of sells it for a bit of money. She, like, takes it to a pawn shop.
She probably
So
takes
it's
like what? I don't know. If it was she probably takes it for like a third of the value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like... Because... I don't think it ever actually was that. It's just an insert shot that shows you the inside of it that maybe there's encryption on it.
Right.
It was so I don't see how this movie would actually work because you brought up a very good point. Why would he care about this? But I've heard that the original idea was it was always a diamond in his possession, but it was a actual flash drive of his like nudes or something, and
Right.
it would have confirmed that Black Mask in particular. I keep saying that because I don't remember how to pronounce his last name, and I'm not going to.
Roman Sionis.
Yeah, Roman S. He is in a relationship with Mr. Zaz.
Yeah.
And I feel like the movie still has hints at that. Like
Yes.
Zaz gets pretty annoyed that Black Canary starts to become more of the fold, and it seems more of a jealousy and less of like a I don't trust her. It's more just like no, like it's the two of us because we're together.
Yeah.
And the movie doesn't ever overtly deal with that, but I feel like that was part of it before. Is that again? I'm not saying this would have been better because I don't actually see how you play that out.
Right.
And to your point, why would he care if someone saw like his nudes?
Right. The only reason would be that if, for example, in the criminal empire, of course,
Was just
there's
horribly
a lot of homophobia.
But even then, like he
homophobic.
still could be killing people. Like he kills off like a pretty big like what were they? The Golden Lions or something?
The Golden Lions, yes.
Yeah, like he just
Golden Lion
like,
family.
Yeah, he just takes the head of that family, cuts his face off. Like, like I feel like if there was a thing of people making fun of him, he would just kill them.
Correct.
So I mean, I'm trying to like basically bolster your point that like maybe the
It
reshoots
doesn't-
were a good idea in terms
Yes.
of being like there's no real way to pay that off.
Yeah, because the thing is, if he was ever curious, or if he was like sensitive about like people find out whether or not he was gay, and that would affect it, then one of the biggest issues is he would not be so outwardly violent, and he wouldn't be the head or mobster, because, or he would just be able to pay people like he does at the end to buy an army
Yeah.
to go after them. So it'd be like, yeah, like there's multiple reasons why his sexuality does not make a difference here.
Yes, exactly.
Even if he was a criminal kingpin and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it would not matter.
It does not matter. I think what the reshoots did really, really well was give us a good reason, a good motivator for why he would care. Is the idea of like he got disowned by his family.
Yeah, and he needs that money.
He needs that money.
And he needs more
And
respect
because
on that
he's-
level.
Well, because he's got the connections to all of East Gotham, as they call it. He's got all the connections, everyone's whatever, but he doesn't have the finances or the resources to actually
Right.
back up what he's doing to
Which is
buy
why
that
he wanted
army.
the Golden Lions to be
Correct.
like he's like I need more of a bankroll. Like
Yeah, it's like, hey, I need money to do whatever I want to do, and then you guys, in exchange, you're going to get access to everything. Golden Lions can't walk into a bank. I can, all that kind of stuff. So they're saying all these things to be like, hey, bankroll me because I need money to do what I need to do to be that criminal kingpin, and I need allies, and that's what the diamond was all about. It was his way of getting that and being, and I like that whole scene where he actually captures Harley, and she uses like her PhD psych degree on it. It's like, listen, you're just trying to do this so you can impress your family. It's not that complicated. You're not that complicated of a person. Can we just?
I
skip
really
this?
like how they peppered in her like psych stuff. Like
I would love that. That was so cool.
because I feel like they again
Every
I only
iteration
really
of the character
they
misses
don't
that entirely. I think
they like I feel like nowadays they do it, but like
Right.
that wasn't really a part of the character when we were growing up in the cartoon.
no, because they
which,
chose
like,
not to emphasize that.
Yeah, like you knew that she was
Yes.
the doctor of Joker,
Yes.
but like they didn't ever use it the way they're using it in this movie, which
Correct.
I really appreciated, which was like this is part of why she's annoying because
Yes.
she doesn't just say non sequiturs. She can actually just
un-
she can make you feel less than by just being like, but I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
'cause
she
this,
puts
this,
you in
and
your
this."
place and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And I think the reason why they do it in this movie and not the other ones is because this movie they're really going out of their way to being like, no, she is her own character, and she's refining who she was before the Joker, the
No,
parts
I
of that
agree
she
with you,
likes.
yeah.
And I'm like, I love that. That was really, really great, which is why I'm like, this is a really good evolution for the character from many different perspectives.
Yeah.
That whole like thing that that little like I like how they tell the story beats with the narrative and all that kind of stuff, and we're like, oh, it's out of sync, and then it's like, oh wait, in order for you to understand this, you have to go back here. Like how you would actually.
It's
tell
not
a
my
story in
favorite
real
part
life.
of the movie, but
Right.
I like how it does play into your hear.
Yeah.
And it's not just you're hearing it from someone who's been shocked and had her head messed with, but like it is how sometimes people tell stories. They're like, oh shit, yeah, I forgot.
Right.
You need to know this for this part to
yes,
make sense.
but I like that because I'm like, it's fully within her character.
Yeah,
to
no,
do
it's
something
within
like
her
that.
character,
Yeah.
but it also
And I
like
loved
if
it.
you don't know her character,
Yes.
you could also be like, oh, that's what it's like when my friend tells me a story.
Yes.
It's
It's
just
not
not
like a
my favorite because
criminal mastermind,
I like more of a linear thing. Or if we are gonna do it, maybe there's just one flashback to like the diamond one. I thought was very effective
Yes.
because then that all culminates in her being at the station looking for her and everything like that. Like I liked that, but for me there was a bit too much of back and forth at the beginning because of how it plays out later. They kind of lose that element. Like she actually says like, oh, like now that you're all caught up, like we're good to go, and it's like, oh, well, I wish we caught up earlier then. 'Cause
I don't know. I really liked it. I really enjoyed
no,
it. Yeah,
it's
it was
good.
fun.
It's part of.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me, but I like that it's like trying to do something different.
Right.
Like I like that, and different for these types of movies. Like I'm sure there's movies people will tell me like,
Yeah.
no, it's not original, but it feels fresh in this setting.
It does
and
feel fresh
and
in
I
this
like
setting.
I like that there was risks taken, and
Yep.
they're trying something.
I think what I really liked too was the whole like animated retelling of like, okay, that opening scene of like, okay, this is what happened since the last movie. Joker and I broke up, all this kind of stuff, and I got my own apartment. And then the animated bits where they're visually representing not Jared Leto's Joker, but like the original Mark Hamill type Joker from an anime standpoint, as well as the 90s animated Harley Quinn stuff. So to me, and this is a big question that I had to you, is do you feel like that move was trying to be like, we're acknowledging everything that happened in Batman the Animated Series, just forget about the idea that it was set in the 50s, 60s, and try to make a match up?
No, because when you actually so remember that guy that comes to beat her up with the crowbar, when he's
Happy?
like like, you tattooed my face, it's quite clearly the Jared Leto Joker that's doing the tattoo.
I see.
So no.
So they're not trying to wash that completely out.
I think they're just trying to be like, this is how she sees it.
I see.
This is how she sees Joker.
Right.
But no, it's very clearly still the Jared Leto Joker, because for that specific, and then they re-show like her jumping into the vat of acid, and it is just the Suicide Squad footage.
Right.
But you see you see him.
Yeah.
They cut before you can actually show his face, and then I'm sure they don't have to pay him.
Right.
But like when he is tattooing, that's new footage, and it is still that Jared Leto Joker.
But what I meant is, do you feel like they acknowledged the events and then they evolved into this new Suicide Squad kind of stuff? I'd be like, that was a thought in my head. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Kind of.
I don't, because I think all of this stuff is now like, yeah, this happened. We're not trying to create some kind of bigger mythos anymore.
Yeah,
it's just it is what it is. And I really liked when she saw Captain Boomerang's poster and she said, "Hey, I know that guy."
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
that was a really, really cool thing too. Is just like, now it's a wanted poster, so it's just like, does that mean he broke out of jail? And what does that mean for Suicide Squad too?
Now that you say that, I'm like, yeah, good for him, because I felt like they made them such heroes in that movie that it was like, so wait, why is he being locked away again?
And it's
because
like he gets literally nothing. Like everyone else got something, right?
and he just got screwed over.
Yeah, Killer Crockett's BET. Like whatever.
And Deadshot gets to meet with his kid.
Yeah, and then Harley gets an espresso machine and all that kind of stuff, and then like he literally gets nothing out of it.
I did. So I was happy, like, oh, that's nice that he's out.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not ignoring what happened, but it's more like, yeah, it happened, so who cares?
Yeah.
It was just, it did happen, and this is what we're doing now.
Gotcha.
Which is fine. It's kind of what I always said, where I was like, they keep saying like it's not a universe, and I'm like, but it doesn't matter, because nothing is particularly connected anyway.
Correct.
And like, yeah, they're still gonna do stuff like this, where it's like, yeah, remember Suicide Squad?
Yep.
But she's doing this now.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, I felt like, to get back to Huntress, now that everyone knows what the story is, to get back to Huntress, she is the most comic accurate to me, but it's also like, I feel like you don't get much with her, because there isn't much to do if she really is just like, no, I just need to kill these people. And so then it's fun to keep the mystery up about who she is, but like, as someone who knows who she is, I'm like, all right, well, yeah. She's that kid. They show it again, and you're like, okay, she doesn't get killed. Yeah. She's going to kill those people. Yeah. But that's why I liked the taco scene at the end, where she was just kind of like, yeah, I kind of like hanging out with you guys. Like, so I'm down to stick around. And, like, yeah, and like, she's kind of making jokes. We're not even making jokes, but you can see how funny she is, because she's led so much life in isolation that she's kind of like, oh,
she's so socially
like
awkward. I love it.
Oh, like friends. Okay. Great. This is great. Yeah. This works for me.
Yeah. And then I like how self-aware this movie was, because that little bit where she's like, do you always talk like you're out of a bad 80s cop movie? And she's like, shut up. And like, it was so funny. Yeah. That was a really good bit.
But yeah, Huntress felt like the least dug into, because you don't really ever like get lines from her until like halfway through the movie.
Right. And I honestly just feel like people are complaining because of the comic accurate outfits, or like what she wore as a character. And I'm like, you just don't like that fashion style. Who cares?
I like that she was so pissed off that people kept calling it a bow and arrow. It's not a fucking bow and arrow. It's a fucking crossbow.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not an 8-year-old girl. It was so funny. Like, there was so many parts of her character that was just like never supposed to be funny to me, but they made it so funny because it was like, no, take me seriously now. I'm socially awkward, but take me seriously.
People kept interrupting her when she wanted to say Huntress.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, cross it, but she's like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's
they're
like,
oh, you're Helena.
I like that way better for you, actually.
Yeah. I even like that when they're like, that's so cool, Huntress. And she's like, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was trying to do.
But yeah.
That's really good.
I liked the ending where like, Cassandra kind of is like, hey, can you come in here and help me with the diamond? And they just leave because they're like, yeah, but we're not good guys.
See, that's
like
what
you,
I love
you
about
guys,
this movie.
you guys do the good guy thing. You guys are idiots. Like,
Yeah.
we're cool, but like
you
we'll
guys
go
be
keep
birds
doing.
of prey. We'll
Yeah.
do this, and that's what I really, really love, and that's what was really confusing to a lot of people was just like the idea that like birds of prey are their own thing.
Yeah.
And then like Harley Quinn was never a part of that, and then the marketing
isn't
material
part of it.
being purely like Harley Quinn driven. To me, it's just like, okay, this is a Harley Quinn movie
Mm-hmm.
with an origin story of birds of prey built in, and I thought that was really, really cool for them to
Yeah,
do.
it's just awkward to like lead with birds of prey, even
Correct.
though like they aren't the focus of the movie.
yes.
And yeah, I've seen people complain like they missed the team aspect of him. Like, but that's the point, is that she's not actually part of that team. They need to work
They
together
just
in that
need to work
moment.
together because it increases their odds of survival. That's
Yeah,
it.
and then she's like, "Cool,
It
you guys
was-
do what you do, but I'm
yeah.
not a good guy, so I'll be out of here."
That's why I'm like, this feels like Deadpool 2 along with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mhm.
And the idea of like, Guardians never really liked each other. They're just like, listen, there's this bounty on this one thing. Let's just work together. Let's get the bounty and just leave.
Yeah, I guess the only reason I don't see the Guardians because they end up being like a very close knit family,
Correct.
and
That's
that's
the
not what
biggest
this
difference.
movie is.
Yeah.
But definitely Deadpool 2 in terms of like the fake out of like, oh, they're gonna be a team, and then like, oh no, never mind.
But even then, also there's a lot of scenes like the cocaine scene that they did, with the police evidence room.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very, very similar to a lot of the cocaine stuff in like Deadpool 2 as well.
Right.
So that to me, like that's where I got those like flashbacks too, and all that. And now with the action choreography confirmed to be the same guy as Deadpool 2, or the Deadpool
And John Wick, yeah.
yeah, and John Wick. It's just like, yep, that's why this works so well.
Yeah,
It's-
the fighting was so good.
The fight
They
really
really,
were awesome. Every time she stepped on someone's knees or like bashed
Yeah.
someone's knees, I was like, oh, I was feeling it. It was
But like even like when she gets her bat or a bat, I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's her bat.
It's
but
not her bat.
No,
It's
it's not because
a-
that's
it's
later.
a bat, yeah.
When she gets a bat, I'm like, oh my goodness! Like I wish she had a bat the whole time. Like
Yeah.
she's so good with it. Like she kind of uses it like a sword, then she's using it kind of like a bow staff. Like she's just great with the bat.
yep. I love that scene.
And it's shot in a way where you can be like, either they're just doing the mapping the face on, or like at least you could just see the fight choreography.
Yes.
It's not cut so that you can hide when it's a body double or a stunt double or
Yep.
whatever. It's like, no, like we can actually watch her do things and be impressed and stuff. It's really good.
Yep.
And she did say like, oh, she had to do a lot of the roller skating, like, so like. She's like, no, I'm actually on the back of her. And I don't think she means like, and I'm doing all of it. Like, obviously you wouldn't be insured to do all of that.
Yeah, no.
But even the fact that they at least can get establishing shots of her doing it
Correct.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, I really, really like the idea that even during that final fight scene in the funhouse, they were like, when did she have time to put on those roller skates?
Yeah, that was
It's
really fun.
hilarious to me. And I'm like, this is ridiculous, but I'm like, oh, yeah, it actually does make sense towards what this final chase scene is going to look like.
Yeah, it did seem very convenient that she was like, I know what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll sacrifice like sure footing for these roller skates. Later, I'll need it.
Yeah.
And I like that she missed the shot at the end. I mean, we should probably explain what's going on. So
Yeah.
basically, you know what's at stake. Black Mask is going after Cassandra Cain because she's got what he wants.
Yep.
And it all culminates in the funhouse that you see heavily prominent in the trailers. And they feel like they've won. They've beat up all basically the whole army that he paid to be in there. And as they're leaving, Black Mask shoots Montoya, which is, you can say it's just to shock you, but it was a good thing of being like, they're invested in each other. So now they're like,
Yep.
well, now we're at a disadvantage because now we have to protect
Correct.
her. And
Yep.
like it forces them like, well, what are we gonna do now? Like we're kind of screwed here.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I didn't think it was to be like, oh, they killed her. It was more like, no, this is a good tactical thing of like making sure you understand. Like they're not just gonna run now. Like they like now they have to make sure she's okay.
Yeah.
And kind of guard her from being shot again. And then Harley's
Corset.
Harley's corset, which was a good touch, saved her from being killed, but also her rollerblades now make more sense because
Yeah.
now she can chase after Black Mask, who's got Cassandra at this point. And they go onto this pier, and it's very dark, and there's shadows, and there's a bunch of statues. I definitely thought they were going to come to life and get her, but I like
That's
where
what
they-
I thought. It was going to be like,
not
oh,
come to life, but like that they were more goons, like he'd planned this out or something.
Oh, I see.
But like it doesn't matter. Like
Right.
they have more like of him really demeaning her and
Right.
her trying to fight back, and that's where you get the speech about like they should be scared of me, not you or Mr.
Mm-hmm.
J. And then she takes the shot and she just gets it wrong, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense too.
Yep.
And I like that she's just genuinely defeated. She's like, yeah, sorry, kid, I tried.
Yeah.
And I like that Cassandra Cain's like, yeah, I stole from you too. And she's like, you little shit. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I stole your rings. And she's like, I'm sorry, what? And you're like, grenades.
It's a grenade ring.
Yeah.
She pulled it out and can't push him over the edge.
And they blew him to
They
pieces.
blew him up to smithereens.
It was great.
Yeah.
Fuck
When
that
the
guy.
moment they killed Victor Zsasz, I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill him too now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine to kill those characters off. It doesn't really
Yeah, they're
matter.
not like really, really big characters.
Zaz in particular is
Zaz
never
is
like
not a
someone
big
that you're like,
character.
oh man, I can't wait for him to lead a movie.
No.
He's always should be in this role of
Yeah.
like
They
Batman Begins style, like just
Yeah.
you see him do his thing and then Batman stops it easily, or this where he's
Yeah.
like someone's henchman
because
and he's
not,
disposable.
He's not a complicated character. He's just a
No.
messed up character.
Yeah,
That's it.
It is very effective to have someone like that
Yes.
in a movie, but by no means are you like, where does it go from here?
Yeah, if you see a movie of Batman versus Zaz, you're just like, really? You
Well, but
couldn't write anything better? Like,
I mean, then it could be what everyone wants, which is the detective movie of him figuring
I
out
guess
who is killing all these people. But then it's like, it's Zaz.
Yeah.
And you're like,
but
great.
then fundamentally it stops becoming a Batman movie because you want to see.
Thank you.
So
this is what
your point has stuck with me because I thought about a lot about your point. So I do want to see some detective stuff. However, I want to see how his detective stuff is above and beyond what forensic science is able to do. So that whole scene in Batman: The Dark Knight where he's like has that firing thing and he puts together the fingerprint, that to me was cool. I'm like, that's the
Right.
extent of what I want to see.
Sure.
But other than that, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want you narrating everything or like have a internal dialogue that's like telling
I
me
just
what you're
like
thinking.
I heard someone be like, no, this is what I mean by detective work, and I was like, then watch Batman Forever. Did you like that when he solved a bunch of riddles?
Yeah.
Great.
That is true. And then the idea of like what, because then what you're stuck with is the whole like idea of Batman either monologuing while he saves someone or he saves someone and then puts him in handcuffs, and then at the end the police chief is like,
How did you
how
do
did
it?
you do that? And then monologues there and makes
Yeah.
everyone look stupid. And it's like,
Well, but that's Sherlock Holmes.
That's
and I'm
exactly-
Like,
that's
just watch
exactly it. I'm like, you have
which is
Sherlock
what I
Holmes
said.
for
Just
that.
watch Sherlock Holmes.
and Sherlock Holmes has like little devices and gadgets too. So I'm like,
He does,
that's
but he
cool.
also, I mean, the Robert Downey Jr. one made him a brawler.
Yes.
But, and I know that is from the books. It's just visually when people think of it, it's more of just this really smart guy
Correct.
who that's kind of what you're in it for, is the monologuing where he like dissects something and you're like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if you've got a guy dressed as a bat who's got all these gadgets and like a Batmobile and a
money.
bat plane
and superhero friends
and like trained himself to be a ninja, why are you so caught up on but I want to see him monologue about the detective stuff.
yes. So I agree. I still want to see it, but I want it in a much smaller capacity because you're right. Other characters do that much better, and that's the focal point for those characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am on board with you. And like, you know, why you want to see him monologue or like talk to Alfred or explain to Alfred what he's doing? Because I'm just like, that's just I don't want to see that.
And
I want to see it
Again,
in some scenes.
I
not for the
am
whole thing.
fully on board as someone who's like, I just like that being like, he did it because he's Batman. Like, I already
Yeah.
know he's trained
Yeah.
for all of these situations, and that's how he figured it out.
But it's also the other issue too is like, ultimately, if you have a movie like that, you have to explain through dialogue as opposed to explain through showing things. Like, you know those moments where you're like, you see a movie and then the director like puts your vision of focus on one throwback item that was related to that. But it's like, oh, he had it all along. That was really cool. Like, you want to do stuff like that and not be like, oh yeah, I had this all along. It's like the monologuing stuff is brutal, and that's why villains lose because they feel the need to always monologue what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Back to this movie,
Yep.
which I had a lot of fun with. What else happens?
Let's talk a little bit about the Renee Montoya character.
Yes, let's do that.
I really liked her character a lot.
I was really hoping that she got more justice against her. Like,
Her captain?
yeah, like fuck that guy.
Yeah, that guy was dick.
The thing is, he wasn't a dick in the scenes with her. It's just that you know he's a dick for like taking credit.
Exactly.
Because like anything he said, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's not like he's being overly mean to her. He's just like,
Correct.
but like you don't actually have any proof,
But
you just have a hunch.
yeah, he's just using the system against her and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like you, that's what I'm saying. Like you could read into it, but you could also just be like, "That's what a good like." You wouldn't want
Yeah,
a captain
he's
to be like, "You got a
following
hunch?
rules."
Cool.
Yeah.
let's do that."
Yeah, that's a bad captain.
Yeah.
That's a captain that's going to get himself fired, or him or herself fired.
Yeah, like I was just like, I just hate that she got screwed over, and then
Yes.
obviously everything is happening to push her to be like, I'm just gonna be in the Birds of Prey.
Yep.
But I was just like, I just still wanted a moment where she like makes him look bad, because
Yeah.
like even at the end of the movie, they're still like, it all worked out, and like still got to take credit for
Yeah.
it. And she didn't
He's
like knock
happy.
anything out of his hand.
Yeah.
She quit. She could have. She knocked something out of like another character's hand, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh.
It's like, what did he deserve for that?
I think he made fun of her earlier in the movie, but like,
something like that.
but I was just like, man, the captain, like, he really just got to get away with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, I liked everybody.
Yeah.
I liked everyone I was supposed to like. I really felt bad about the, what is he, Taiwanese, the guy that had the restaurant that she lived above,
Doc?
and he sold her out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doc. And she was just like, but it's me. He's like, yeah, but money.
business.
He's like, I understood his thing too of like,
Yeah.
you understand how much criminal activity is going to be coming around here. Like, I needed to get out of this.
Yeah, that to me was like the biggest thing is like, you know how many people are looking for you right now? It's just like, they're going to get you and they're going to go through me. So I might as well get out of the way and make money doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a very understandable thing, especially because it's like, oh, the cards are turned. You're doing the exact same thing with Cassandra Cain, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that caused her to reflect. And it was like, oh, yeah, maybe I should save this kid. Maybe that's a pretty douchey thing to do.
Well, no, then once that happens, then she is like, oh, I'm not going to save this kid. He screwed me over. I'm going to
Right.
screw her over just the way he screwed me over. But later on, she's like, I guess I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I like how she walks that line. She just goes back and forth on it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Bruce was cool, her hyena.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was so upset when that whole thing, the bomb went off or the fireworks went off, and it was like, you didn't see Bruce anymore. I'm like, do not tell me they killed the dog. Don't.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, like, in any movie, unanimously for me, if an animal dies, I'm having a bad time.
Yep. That's fair.
Immediately. If a person dies, I'm like, yeah, you deserve it, you dummy. No,
Well,
that's
yeah.
not true.
No,
But there's less empathy towards that. There's more empathy.
I was
towards the
so
animals.
excited when they kind of like before we saw a trailer and they kind of hinted that she would have hyenas. I was like,
Yeah.
this is everything. Yes. And then I was like, yeah, she didn't have two, but still,
Yeah.
Bruce is a good start.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, Cassandra's just dealt a bad hand.
Yep.
She's a foster kid, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just shitty foster kids. Parents we meet her with.
Yep. I have to say, I really enjoyed how this movie brought together all the Birds of Prey, like the writing from all
And
of
I
it.
like that they
It
were
was so
supportive
really
of each
cool.
other. Like once they're together,
Yeah.
there's no real like pettiness or like sniping at each other. They're
Right.
just like,
There's
yeah,
no
okay,
real
like
need for
this,
that.
this
Yeah.
makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
like obviously they've got their own thing. Like
Like, if
specifically
we-
Black Canary and
Yeah.
Harley of like,
Like-
oh, you're the singer no one listens to, and oh, you're the asshole everyone wants to kill.
Yeah.
But like once it's like time to like be together, they're like yeah, like you were so good, and like you're like you have a really cool name.
Yeah.
Just, like I was like, yeah, I like this. It's nice to see people enjoy each other and enjoy what they're doing.
Correct. I like it. And work together for a common cause. Which is to survive.
Yeah.
Do you think now that we're going to get a Birds of Prey specific movie with just Renee Montoya, the Huntress, and Black Canary? And then
No,
we're going to get
100%
more
we're not.
Harley and Cassandra Cain spin-offs?
It makes sense too, but I don't trust DC to ever make any smart decisions.
Fair enough.
Like
I do
we're just gonna
genuinely
get a
hope-
bunch of one-off things, and maybe we'll enjoy it that way. But I don't think that, like, because the very loose idea here is that like we've now seen her with the Birds of Prey, and the next next Harley movie will be Gotham Sirens, and then the third movie will be like what happens when she's stuck between the two of them.
Right. That would be interesting.
and
Because
I
I was
like
going to
that
say,
idea.
like, now because she's left the Birds of Prey, or was never really apart, but she's left that whole, like, they've clearly
they've
ended
formed
it
Birds
where
of
it's
Prey,
like
yeah.
they've split at the end of it. Now it opens the door for Gotham Sirens, where there's the
Because that's Poison Ivy and Catwoman.
as well as Catwoman team up with Harley, which is something that I'm really, really interested in seeing what that looks like. But of course, that's a complicated thing because they might have to build up the Batman stuff a little bit more, and we don't know what that's going to look like. And
I don't
even
think you
then,
have
not
to-
really, because
no.
I think they're doing a good job of especially if they keep the same Harley narrative, where they're like, okay, let me explain this real quick, and then just like put together something, and then now you're all caught up, kind of deal.
But like, you don't need to know anything of like the comic book people will be like, oh, this is how they're connected to Batman. But like,
Right.
like
I guess you
Cassandra
could
Cain in
just
particular is just a Batman sidekick. Like
Right.
she's spoiler, so like it's like none of that factors into
Right.
this movie.
I guess
And
you could just literally have Poison Ivy and Catwoman just be like
And it's
crime
easy,
people.
it's
and just
easier to do that with villains
true.
because yes, you can argue that in Batman Year One, Catwoman is like inspired by Batman. Well,
Yes.
she's like, oh, okay, cool, like vigilante stuff.
But that's the only
you don't
iteration.
you don't need to have that iteration.
No,
She
you don't.
still could just be a jewel thief
Correct.
that dresses like a cat. And Poison Ivy's thing is completely separate from Batman. Her
Yep.
thing is like, I'm saving the world. So like,
Environmentalist.
yeah. So
Hardcore.
I just feel like
environmentalist.
it's very easy to do that without
That's
ever
true.
knowing anything about Batman. The only thing is, if they really do want it to be connected, then yes, I guess Zoe Kravitz has to be Catwoman. But again, that won't factor in to the movies.
Right.
Like you don't need to know anything about her other like. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't see that as like something where they're like, oh shit, how are they going to fit Catwoman into this Gotham Sirens movie now?
Plus, like, I'm just really okay with them just doing really, really, really just original kind of things, not spinning off like comics storylines and all that kind of stuff. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We will. Or we won't. I don't know what's going to happen, man.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
Because
This
what we
could
do
all-
know is the next thing that's coming up is Wonder Woman 1984 from the DC movie slate.
Sure. Yes.
That's all. So we'll see what happens. And that, of course, is...
I love that trailer. I'm so upset that they didn't show it in front of Birds of Prey.
Oh, they showed it in front of ours.
I love that
I
trailer.
love
That trailer
it. It was
is great.
fantastic. Yeah.
Mostly because of the music. I'm going to be honest. I really
I
do, but
love
like
the
I
music.
love when she's like riding the lightning bolts.
Yeah, I never realized that from visually before that she was like just using the lasso of truth to lash onto the lightning bolts, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
oh,
great.
that's awesome.
And
I'm
it's
just
a
like,
great last joke at the end. She's like,
Yeah.
but that's just a garbage can. Just a garbage can.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
I also like the idea of like they're introducing the invisible plane in this.
That looks great.
Yeah.
That's a great visual. Just like them looking up and kind of you're seeing the reflection without actually seeing what's going on.
Correct.
Yeah, it's great. But this is not the Wonder Woman podcast. Is there anything else to say about like we
Birds
haven't
of
really
Prey?
talked about Black Mask in terms of like did you like it? Like we liked it, but like was there anything you particularly liked about Ewan McGregor's performance?
I love how his portrayal of Black Mask was very, very consistent. I'm like, yeah, you're a kid that's just basically
Yes.
trying to earn respect in everyone's eyes, and you're desperate to do it, and you know all that kind of stuff. Every decision that you make is nonsensical, driven towards that.
And it was rough when that scene where that woman's laughing. It's like, is she laughing at me?
Oh
And he's
God,
like-
that was so rough.
It's like, I don't think she's laughing at you. It's like, she's laughing at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And then he's like, cut her dress off. I'm like, no, please don't.
Yeah.
I don't like any of this.
That was really uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just kind of was one of those things where I'm like, yeah, a rich entitled kid would do something like that. If they
And it
think they're
makes
being
it
laughed
better
at.
that he dies at the end the way he does.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not really like cool to be like, oh, and then he lives to like meet them again. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't
seems
want
like
that.
he needs to stop.
Yeah.
Someone needs to stop. He shouldn't be able to do stuff like this ever
Yeah.
again.
Plus, like in the event that villains versus villains in a movie, someone's gotta die.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just like if you are a villain that just lets people, like, why? I don't
Yeah, there's no
understand.
point.
There's no point. I mean, like, if you're okay killing people, then why would you not kill the enemy that's clearly after you? Plus, the enemy that's after you, their motivations are not the same as heroes in the sense where heroes are just like, no, we want the violence to stop. We just want you to go over here and be safe and rehab yourself. Versus villains are like, no, we want what we want, and that means
Yeah, fuck you. We're gonna kill
die.
you.
You go die now.
It's funny that that's what made me be like, he's a villain, and not when he like cuts someone's face off in front of their family.
Yeah, right.
I was just like, yeah, I mean, they probably deserved it. I don't know.
There's
what's
so
going on.
many weird things about like how we watch movies because I was feeling the exact same things. Like, oh, you murdered a whole bunch of like families, but it's just like, oh, they're a crime family too, so it's fine. But to me, I'm just
I
like,
didn't even remember they were a crime family at that point.
I remember
was
it's like,
just
oh, okay, whatever. It's just another crime family, whatever.
And I like
And
how
you're
he
like,
would say
wait,
you
as far as
sometimes.
I can tell, that woman is innocent, and she's just having a good time at this bar. this is not cool.
Yeah.
That's not okay, man. That's not okay.
I really like how he would say "ew" sometimes. When she got blood, like he's like, "Is that a snot bubble? Ew." I've changed my mind. Kill her.
Yeah.
He's like, "No."
Yeah, no, it's too much.
That was really good stuff. I think some of it might have been lost in the reshoot, although they really they doubled down. Like all they did was reshoot fight scenes. But I'm like,
Yes.
I feel like you did some stuff with Black Mask because like I heard a big part of it was his relationship with Zaz, which seems toned down and kind of sanded down.
But
for
even
this.
then, like a lot, like the people near me, they were all commenting about that toward the end, and they didn't know anything about that because it was just like, so what had happened was it was a few couples around me. They were on dates, and the guy knew about the movie storyline, cared more about it than the women did, or vice versa. In that sense, where once the movie ended, in this scenario, the woman was like, "Did you get big gay energy off those two?"
Right.
And it was just like, "Yes, that's exactly it." I'm like, this is what they were alluding to and all that kind of stuff.
Because I was like,
didn't make it the main beat of the story.
Is the Black Canary stuff supposed to be like he's looking for a beard or something? Because like,
well, here's the thing: I just don't know, or if he's gay, or if he's bisexual. Because
right,
like
he
that
doesn't
would
have
to
to be
me
like
would
he
be,
could be bisexual.
yeah, because that to me could have been like, oh, okay, Zaz is annoyed not because because like, oh, you could potentially come in and Zaz is just gay and he's bi.
Right.
So like, you know, like that weird element of like sexual relationships and all that kind of stuff in the LGBTQ space. So it was just like, and maybe Zaz is monogamous and maybe Roman is not. You know?
Well, yes, I mean that part to me was clear. Like regardless of his orientation, he's not a monogamous person.
Correct.
Like, he likes having these discrete. I don't mean like secret, but like having like, this is my relationship with this person, this is my relationship with this person, and you guys shouldn't care about what's going on.
Or maybe
here.
just be like, I like using people because this is who the person I am is, and like if I'm using you, I don't care about your emotions, so I'm just going to do whatever I want. And then Zaz is being like, listen, no, I'm more than just like your henchman kind of thing. I'm your partner, and I'm also your criminal mastermind. I'm looking out for you too, to try to establish more of a codependent relationship, which is pretty toxic. But we're also not looking at healthy relationships in the movie in the context of villains and all that kind of stuff.
And I guess, like we said at the beginning, like there's no real way to go with that because this is not what the movie is about. So,
and it just doesn't make sense at all.
In a way, it's nice that they didn't try to get into it, but it also is like, oh, it would have been an interesting wrinkle, but I don't know how you resolve it. Like,
but I don't think there is anything to resolve in the sense where there is LGBTQ representation in this, where Renee Montoya is being like,
is dating
with Ellen Yee, the district attorney, which portrayed by Ali Wong. They were like, oh, my past lover. And even in the beginning, the animated stuff where
it shows that Harley had a girlfriend.
Yeah, Harley had a girlfriend at one point, you know, and all that kind of stuff too, and before she found Joker and fell in love with him. So it was like the LGBT representation is here. It's not the focal point because it shouldn't be. It should just be like, yeah, these characters had differences in their fluidity and their sexuality. They explored it, but it's not the main point of this.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean resolve as in
coming out.
Yeah, I didn't resolve in terms of that. I meant more like, if you put it in like that,
yes,
it forces you to do something with it, as opposed to having it the way we were talking about, that it's like, well, that's her ex and this is who she dated.
Correct.
If you're putting it that forward into it, like there needs to be something that happens if you're actually explicitly saying Zaz is jealous because they're in a relationship.
Right.
Then it becomes this awkward thing of, are you like, are you condescending or down to like people, or being like, well, you see, this is how gay people act or whatever. Like, that's what I mean. Is it's harder to like tackle it if that is actually something you explicitly go into that way.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know how to resolve. I'm not saying no one could. It's just I wouldn't know how to like handle that, especially since the movie has got a lot of other things it's trying to accomplish.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. Like, I really like the LGBTQ representation here because it doesn't feel forced and doesn't feel like they glazed over it really quickly. They gave it the attention it deserves. And
I mean, as much as any person's relationship in this movie.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like it was treated like normal relationships. It wasn't being like, oh, we're going to spend extra time on this because like the idea here is like they just normalized it, and I'm like, yes, good for you. This is awesome. People just have relationships, and that's all they are.
Yeah.
Good times. Loved it. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you liked it more than you seemed like you were going to like it.
I was one of the things I said to Stacy before we started watching this. I said, be prepared to be whelmed.
Right.
And I was very, very, very wrong about that. I was very I was.
Just want to point out, I was very right about it.
I like
the trailers looked great.
Yeah.
And they
to
delivered.
be fair, it was just me being like, it's not because it was like a female-led movie.
No, you
it was
said-
just because I don't trust DC.
You don't trust DC, and you were like, I don't like that it's all about Harley in this.
Correct.
And
And it
you
didn't
made
make sense to me from the promotional material, and now I'm just like, now it makes sense to me. I'm like, okay, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I love it. I like this movie a lot more.
I think other important thing is that Margot Robbie was the producer.
Correct.
And she's
She
very
really wanted
smart
to
about
make
what
this.
she wants to do
Yeah.
with her movies.
Yeah, and she's really, really good with this, so I like it a lot.
Because I definitely was like, yeah, she's fine in Suicide Squad. Like for me, Suicide Squad was like, I really like Will Smith as Deadshot, and I
Yes.
really liked Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, no, I don't really like Harley. I was like, yeah, she's fun. That's
Yeah.
funny. I just felt like we could have done more with her. Like
Yes.
she could have been more interesting. And then obviously when you put her in this situation, she can be. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that there was like a follow up to the potential she showed in Suicide Squad.
Yep.
Like this was, it was really good to see.
I liked it. I think at some point in time, do you think they're going to remove the tattoos, at least the facial tattoos, the ones that rotten, or like the
The whole
little
time-
monster on her, daddy's little monster on her chest, and all that kind of stuff?
I don't know, because every time I saw that Rotten, I'm like, yeah, I have a podcast called Spoiled Rotten. That's cool. You can keep that on your face if you want.
Just because, like, with what's his face, he said like, yeah, I did go too far.
David
with the
Ayer?
Yeah, David Ayer. Yeah,
Who is a producer on this?
yeah,
But I guess mostly just because
whatever.
who cares?
It is what it is. It's an aesthetic choice.
I think it's probably because they were like, he was like, oh, can I direct another one? They're like,
No,
no.
no.
He's like, you
Go
know
do
what?
Bright
Probably
2.
good.
Go do Bright 2.
They're like, he's like, yeah, probably a good idea. Can I get paid though? Sure.
Okay, yeah.
I think this was exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
It was just a fun time.
This was
at the
more than I
movies.
wanted it to be for
Right.
me. Definitely, definitely more than I wanted it to be. Did you stay toward the end?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
The post-credit teaser.
She was. I mean, it teased who Batman fucked, I guess, but it's.
Well, we don't actually know that. We're
No,
just
she
like,
said, "Did you know Batman
Did you
fucked?"
know the Batman? And that was it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whether or not it actually is someone that she fucked or something like that is a different story, but we'll see.
We won't. That will never be a thread that gets picked up ever again.
Well, I think if that was Batman fucked Catwoman, alluding to Gotham Sirens next, would be an interesting thing.
I will put money on the fact that this will never be picked up again.
Really,
Yeah, that was just a fun. It's the.
I think it was the equivalent of like the Homecoming teaser.
Yeah, so you waited, but it's
so you waited
the
for this.
Ferris Bueller joke. It's like,
Right.
why are you still here? It's like, it's that. That's how Aladdin ends. It's how the first Deadpool ends.
Yep.
Like, that's just a trope of like, why did you actually like? You should stay to recognize everyone who worked on the movie, but like,
That's what I
it's
do
more-
like about those post-credit stingers. Is like you
Yeah.
do, even though you're not watching it, you're mostly like talking
Yeah.
about it.
You should be watching, but you're
Yes.
probably not watching all of it.
Yeah.
But yes, I like to watch the credits,
Mm-hmm.
but
Every now and then you get something fun out of it, like in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Volume 2.
they really made it worthwhile to stay through those credits.
like
That
some
was
of
great.
those things you tease like other characters from like other movies altogether.
Yeah.
Like you get the Grandmaster as like a secret cameo. That comes
he's
up in that.
dancing.
Yeah,
in
he's
the
dancing
thing.
in it. It's
But
pretty
like, yeah. So to be clear, what happened, because we didn't actually say what happened, is it's the Ferris Bueller thing of Margot Robbie's voice as Harley Quinn being like, "Are you you're still here? All right. Well, I guess if you're still here, did you know that Batman?" And then it cuts out. But you don't see anything, and the big thing that was being pushed, obviously it was a lie, was that the end credit scene was going to be Harley kind of like happy that she got away with everything, and then an arrow shoots down, and Green Arrow asks her where the hell is Dinah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the big thing, and I was like, yeah,
That's
that
what
would
it
be
was
cool.
supposed to be? That would've been
No,
really
I
cool.
think that's just a lie. But that's
Oh,
what
you
I
think
was.
that was just like a rumor.
Yeah, someone must have said that to generate traffic to their site or something. But like,
That's fair.
I think
Breed part.
I was like, I wonder how they're gonna do it, because I had heard that was confirmed to not be what was gonna happen, but I had heard that earlier, but I didn't remember that. So like, waiting for the postcard, I'm like, I wonder who's gonna be like Green Arrow, or I wonder what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
And then that happened. I'm like, oh yeah, I already knew this was gonna happen. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Fun movie. Let's
All right,
give it
let's
a
rate
score.
this thing.
What did you give it out of 10?
Dun, 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 8.5. I love this movie. It was wonderful.
You're really making me second guess my rating.
Why is that? It's lower than mine?
It's much lower than yours.
Much lower. No, you rate it the way you want to rate it, man. I'm just rating it from the perspective of I was coming in being like,
Yeah.
This
No,
movie's not gonna
I
do
don't think
well.
that's too high.
when I went on the Cineplex, the pre-sales for this went up, available a week beforehand, so that doesn't put a lot of confidence in it. And then when I did the pre-sales and what the people that actually showed up to the screening was a very different story, because there's like no, like we checked the pre-sales for this. We were super curious as to what the fan buzz is going to be about this, the audience buzz, people, whether or not people still trust DC and all that kind of stuff. And when we looked at the pre-sale tickets, we were the only ones that actually had pre-sale tickets, that and two other people in the D-box. And then when we showed up, there was like a whole bunch of people just there. Mm-hmm. It was like packed. And I was like,
Our
this is
theater
cool.
was not packed, but we saw the 10
I
o'clock show.
shouldn't say packed. I would say like 60% capacity.
All right. Well, I'm going to give it an 8.
Cool.
It's a very soft 8. It was at 7.5, but I'll give it an 8. The beginning didn't really work for me.
Oh, I love that beginning. That's awesome.
It's a bit too much back and forth, and that's just because I'm getting old and crabby. I'm like, just tell the fucking story straightforward. But as I said earlier, I like that it's trying something different and it makes things interesting to watch. But I get completely turned off by going back and forth. I do not like it in my old age.
So
it's not a bad thing to do.
So
I just don't like it.
If so, out of curiosity, then, how do you feel about time travel movies?
That's different because that's the whole point.
Because you're preparing yourself for that.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it.
I see. Gotcha.
This is like nothing.
just caught
is,
you off guard.
Nothing is like gained by telling it the way she tells it. Like you don't
No,
like, but
nothing
like
is. Except for
it's
like staying
interesting.
continuity with the character. If it's from her narrative, then it
Right?
is
No,
within
that's what I'm saying. It's a
continuity with
nice
the character.
framing device, but
Correct.
it's not like it's integral to the plot that it's told. That
It
way.
is definitely not integral for sure.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like you still can have her breaking the fourth wall, which she does,
Yep.
and narrating the way she does
Yep.
without going back and forth. So that's, and again, I'm not here to say that it's bad to do that. I would never discourage anyone from doing it. I don't like doing it. I don't like it as much. There's instances where I do, but for the most part, I'm just like, meh, not into it. But yeah, I gave it an 8. I think the fighting excuses everything. I'm like, yep, completely on board. I kind of wish there was more Black Canary, but I also understand this isn't necessary. This isn't a Birds of Prey movie.
No.
It's a Harley Quinn movie, and then at the end, Birds of Prey are formed. So they really are just side characters until they're not.
Yeah. And then
Oh, I mean,
we'll
there
see
are
if they get their own movie. That'll be interesting. And where that could
I
go to.
that I wouldn't put money on, but I'm not sure they'll get their own movie unless something big changes and like they get a bunch of hits, because it seems like they're just leaning in to stuff they know works. They knew Harley Quinn would work. Wonder Woman did really well, so that's getting another thing, and Batman always works. But I don't think they're that confident as Marvel to be like, hey, you know Guardians? And people are like, no. They're like, well, we're doing a movie about it. It's the same way they were like, we'll say Birds of Prey, but it's not actually Birds of Prey because you don't know them.
Right.
You know Harley, so it's a Harley movie. But we'll see. I would love for these characters to come back. Also, a very fun, interesting thing. Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Ewan McGregor are in a relationship in real life, but that's I think the only two people that don't actually share screen time.
Yep.
I'm like, interesting. I wonder if they even knew they were in the same movie.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they met on Fargo.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just know her from Scott Pilgrim.
And what a great way to know her.
Yep.
She's great.
She's great in that movie.
She's great in every
They're
movie
talking
she's
about
in.
a potential sequel to that movie.
There's a lot of books.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could.
It's good times.
But I think that wasn't necessarily like they're going to do a sequel. That was more like, what would we do if we did a sequel?
Correct.
Which never means there's actually any conversations.
Right. They're
That's just
talking
like
about,
someone was on a
that's
press
just like
run.
someone
and-
was on the interview circuit and they're like, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if you did a sequel?" Like, yeah, that would be cool. I agree with that.
Because
And then
that was
clickbait
Mary
articles.
Elizabeth Winstead, which was like, what would happen if they were in their 30s?
Correct.
The movie was like their early 20s. And just, let's see what happens in their 30s when they're not as free to be crazy. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be a sequel to it. But I would love it because I like that movie a lot. Is that it?
I think that's about it.
We did it.
We got it. We got
All right.
through this.
So, please, everybody, go to thatshelf.com. Why? Because there's great podcasts like this one, No Budget Nightmares. What an amazing theme song. Bad Gay Movies, Black Hole Films, and Composers, Highly Logical. A new one, actually, that we just got, Changing Reels, hosted by Courtney Smalls. It's lovely. You should listen to it. The last episode was us and Atlantics, so that's nice. Go there, listen to those episodes. Also, when you're listening to this, it's too late, but there was another Movies versus Matrimony episode about the Oscars, so this is coming out on Monday. If you want to like hear what we thought before the Oscars, listen to it on Monday.
Yep.
Great. And please go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten. You will find our Twitter, which is @tdfspoiled. You will find our email, which is spoiledpodcast@gmail.com. You will find Ben and I's social media coordinates if you want to get in touch with us. And you'll find the backlog of our episodes. It's a great time. You have anything to say?
No, I think that's it.
We did it.
Yep.
This is perfect. All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.